This is Chapter 13 of Semester 2's exam review. We're going to look at which angle measure is shown in the diagram. This is going around clockwise, so we know that it's a negative. If we break this, we can notice that this is more than pi, more than negative pi. So it's not 2/3 of the pi, it's got to be 4/3 of the pi. Which angle measure is equivalent to 13 pi over 6? Well, we could count our way around, but we can also do our conversion of multiplying by 180 over pi. That will turn it into a degree value. So you cross the pi's out. 6 goes into 6 once. 6 goes into 180 30 times. So we have 30 times 13 is 390. What is the reference angle in degrees for 560? Well, a reference angle is the angle that it takes to get to the nearest x-axis. So 560, we have 180, 360, 540, so 60 degrees more, or that was actually 20 degrees more, would have taken you to 560. So the reference angle is right here, which is 20 degrees. It's positive. Reference angles are always positive. Let theta be an angle, an acute angle of a right triangle. The tangent is 5 over 12. What is the cosecant? Well, we'll say that this is our theta. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. Pythagorean theorem or Pythagorean triple will tell us that this length is 13. So cosine, cosine is 12 over 13. But sine is 5 over 13. So cosecant is 13 over 5. So 13 over 5 is part A. We did that by finding the length of the hypotenuse, by doing Pythagorean theorem or knowing your Pythagorean triple. And then cosecant is the inverse of sine. So since sine was 5 over 13, I know that cosecant is 13 over 5. Number 5. One day you decide to ride your bike off some sweet jumps. To accomplish this task, you build a ramp with an angle of elevation of 33 degrees. And the part of the ramp resting on the ground is 6 feet long. How long is the actual ramp? So 33 degrees is the angle of elevation. That's what it takes going up from the horizontal. The horizontal length is 6 feet. How long is the actual ramp? So as you look here, we're going to use SOHCAHTOA. And knowing that we're going to use adjacent over hypotenuse, we're going to say that cosine of 33 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. We multiply by x and divide by the cosine of 33. So using our calculator, be sure you're in degree mode, we get 7.15. And that would be part A. Number 6. You have just purchased a medium-sized pizza from Pizza Hut, and the radius is 5 inches. One section of the pizza with a central angle of 60 degrees has stuffed crust, where the rest has traditional crust. How long is the crust of the pizza? Well, there's our pizza. We have a radius of 5. We're looking at 60 degrees. The question is, how long is that? We're not talking about it being measured as a measure of that value, which would be 60. We're talking about the length. So it's an arc length. There's a formula we can use. R theta is our arc length. R is 5, and theta must be in radian. Theta must be in radian. That's the big common mistake here. So 60 degrees, thinking about the unit circle, that is pi over 3. So we get 5 pi over 3, which using your calculator is about 5.24. So the length of that crust would be 5.24. Evaluate the secant of 2 pi over 3. Well, thinking about your unit circle, two pi over 3 would be over here. This would be 1 pi over 3. This would be 2 pi over 3. It's to the left a little bit, so that's a half. It's up a lot, so it's root 3 over 2. This is cosine sine. Well, we want secant, so that's the reciprocal of cosine. So if cosine is negative 1/2, then secant is negative 2 over 1. Evaluate the cotangent. Okay, this says negative pi over 3. So negative pi over 3 means go down. That's 1/3 of the way, halfway around. This is over a little bit. This is down a lot. That's how I remember what my coordinates are. A little bit is always a half. A lot is always root 3 over 2. Cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent. Tangent is y over x. Cotangent of theta is x over y. So it's 1/2 over negative root 3 over 2. So we take 1/2 and we times that by the reciprocal. So the 2's cross out. We get negative 1 over root 3. So by multiplying, rationalizing the denominator, we're going to get negative root 3 over 3. On the next page, we're looking at negative 3/4. If you think about the unit circle only goes out to 1. It's a circle with a radius of 1. Well, here, if we're going over 3 and down 4, we're well outside of the unit circle. So we cannot say that the cosine is negative 3 and the sine is negative 4. That's not quite right, because with the unit circle, the radius is 1. So whatever your x is the cosine. But in this case, where the radius is more than 1. So there's the triangle that we're working with. 3, 4. So if you do Pythagorean theorem, or if you know your Pythagorean triple, you know that this length is 5. So now we're going to look at cosecant. Well, we know that cosecant of theta is equal to 1 over sine of theta. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So cosecant is hypotenuse over opposite. So it's negative 5/4. We're going to find the value of sine when it equals 0.7. Think about the unit circle again. Sine is always your y values. You're up about 0.7, so you're at 2 different locations where y value is 0.7. If you use your calculator and do sine inverse of 0.7, cosine inverse of 0.7, we're going to get 44.43 rounded up. That's right here. But we want to look at between 90 and 180. So that 44 degrees is here, which is 180 minus the 44.43. So we subtract this value from 180 and get 135.57. And you can test that out by taking your calculator and saying sine let's see, sine of 135.57. This is going to be extremely close. This is a rounded number. This is going to be extremely close to 0.7. 0.7000. Because this is a rounded number, we got a rounded answer. But that helps you identify if that was accurate or not. You need to climb on top of your roof in order to repair a hole. You set up a 20-foot ladder on the side of your house. The base of the ladder is 5 feet from the house. What angle does the ladder make? So you have your beautiful house. You have your ladder. Your ladder is 5 feet out. Your ladder is 20 feet long. The question is, what is your angle? Well, we look at this is your adjacent. This is your hypotenuse. So SOHCAHTOA tells us that adjacent over hypotenuse is the cosine of some angle that equals 5 over 20. So we're going to say the cosine inverse of 5 over 20 equals theta. So using your calculator, cosine inverse, you have to use parentheses here, of 5 over 20 is 75.52. In triangle ABC, angle B is 32 degrees. Angle A and angle B, or side A and side B, are given. What is the possible value for C? This looks like an angle side-side situation. This is going to take a little bit to do. That's 32. Side A is going to be 28. Side B equals 18. So we're looking here. If B was longer than A, it would definitely make one triangle. But if B is less than A, then we have to compare it to the height of this triangle. And to do that, we look at the opposite, which is your height. So the sine of 32 equals the opposite over the hypotenuse. Multiply by the 28, and 28 times the sine of 32 gives us 14.84 approximately. So that's our height. So yes, B is longer than the height of the triangle. So there are two triangles. Since there's two triangles, we're going to draw one triangle that swings out. We have our 32, our 28, and our 18. We're going to do another triangle where it swings in. But right now, let's see if this is the angle C that they're looking for. So we're going to do law of sines, which is 18 over the sine of 32 equals 28 over the sine of A. So we're going to cross multiply and get 18 times the sine of A equals 28 times the sine of 32. Divide by 18. And with our calculator, we'll take 28 times the sine of 32 divided by 18, and that gives us an 0.8243, and we're going to do the sine inverse of that answer, and we'll get 55 degrees. So this here is 55.5 degrees. This is this option, but that's not what they're asking for. They're asking for angle C. So we know that that's out. Angle C would be 180 minus 32 minus 55.52. So 180 minus 32, 180 minus 32 minus our previous answer would give us a 92 degree angle. And that's not an option. This would be a 92 degree angle. That's not the C that they're looking for. So let's look at the other possible triangle. The other possible triangle would have a 32 degree angle. Then it would swing back. Rather than out, it would swing back. This is our 32, angle B, angle C, and A. To find out angle A, it's the supplement of what our 55 was here. So we're going to take our 180 and subtract 55.52, and that gives us 124.48, which is this angle, but again, we're looking for angle C. So this is not the answer. We're looking for angle C, which is right here. We know it exists, so the only other possibility is it has to be this value. You could circle it right now, but we might as well do our math. So we're going to do 180 minus 32 minus this answer gives us the 2352. So that has to be your angle C. In triangle ABC, angle A is 51, angle B is 44, angle C is 11. Find the value of A. Well, let's make our triangle. So we have our A, B, and C. Side A is always across from angle A. Side B is always across from angle B, and side C is always across from angle C. Now, this is about as tricky as it gets, because we look here and we don't have two bits of information from the same letter. To use law of sines, we have to have both the angle and the opposite side, at least of one of the pairs. But here, because we have two angles, we can actually find what that angle C is going to be. It's 180 minus 51 minus 44. So we know that this angle has to be 85. So now I can use law of sines to solve for this. 11 over the sine of 85 equals A over the sine of 51. So 11 times the sine of 51 divided by the sine of 85 equals A. 11 times the sine of 51 divided by the sine of 85. Be sure you're in degree mode. So this angle has to be this side has to be 8.58. 8.58 rounds to 8.6. Notice that this is 85 degrees. Across from it is 11. 51 is smaller, so A has to be smaller. So that made sense. So I could rule that out, and I knew the length definitely wasn't negative. So my only reasonable answers were these two. Number 14. A farmer is planting corn in the shape of a triangle whose sides are 800 meters and 600 meters. If the angle between these sides is 40, what is the area of the cornfield? So we have 800, we have 600, and we have 40 here in the middle, 40 degrees. So we're going to talk about the area of this triangle. To do that, let's call this A for a moment. We're going to say that the area equals your two sides. So we could call that B times C sine of A. So we're going to take 600 times 800, half of that, sorry, times the sine of 40. So we have half of 600 times 800 times the sine of 40. So we get 154,269.03. We get B. In triangle ABC, we have these three sides. A would give us side A of 6. B would give us a side of B of 9. And if this is angle C, we would get 7. Because we have all three sides, we know we need to use law of cosines. We're looking for angle B, so the law of cosines we're going to use. So we plug in our values. We calculate it out. Now you cannot calculate 85 minus 84. You have to subtract it this way. Then divide. We get negative 0.0476. So cosine inverse of our answer gives us 9273. Two more questions. In triangle ABC, we have angle A of 108, B is 9, C is 7. So we have 108, that's our A. B is 9, C is 7. So we're going to use the law of cosines. We're looking for side A. We don't have 2 bits of information, and we can't even solve for another angle, so we can't get 2 bits of information. So we don't know what A is. We can take all of that and type it into the calculator. 9 squared plus 7 squared minus 2 times 9 times 7 times the cosine of 108. And we get 168. And we're going to take the square root of that answer to get 12.99. So A squared equals 168. So A equals 12.99, which is your 13. Last one. What is the area of a triangle with the side lengths of 8, 9, and 11? 8, 9, and 11. Well, we can find the area by our triangle is the square root of our semi-perimeter. Semi-perimeter minus A, semi-perimeter minus B, semi-perimeter minus C. Well, our semi-perimeter is half of our perimeter. So 8 plus 11 plus 9. So using our calculator, we're going to take half of 8. Let's do that correctly. Half of 8 plus 11 plus 9. That gets us 14. Then we're going to say the area is the square root of 14 we're going to say 14 minus A, and A was, let's say, 8. 14 minus 11, and 14 minus 9. So 3549, 3550.